Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, we've been down this rodeo several times, but every time you learn something different. And what do I mean by this? I mean the history of Germany. There is a video that one of you guys sent to me to check out and kind of commentate on and see if I learned anything about. It's called A Super Quick History of Germany. It's made by Mr. History, and we're going to go ahead and check this out today. If you guys are new, go ahead and subscribe to the channel. But here's the thing, right? We're going to see if this video can hit 200 likes. You guys crushed the last like goal. I tried to reach out to one of you guys in the comment section, and there's proof. If you go in the video, we almost have 1,000 likes. I guess y'all don't like the reply back. So I'm going to reach out to a different person in that comment section for your little surprise gift. I'll make a video on what those are for everybody if you guys want to take part in this. But without further ado, let's go ahead and see if there's anything I've missed that has been very significant in Germany's very extensive history. Once again, Los Geht's 200 likes, guys. I know y'all can do it. Smash that damn like button. Mr. History, this legend right here.
This is Europe, and here's Germany. Now let's go, shall we? Long ago, before there was a Deutschland, there was just the land, which
The land of Deutsch.
back then had even more trees on it, and into the misty forests stepped...
Why does it look like the Attack on Titan forest? I feel like these forests and from Attack on Titan were based on Germany. I mean, a lot of stuff from Attack on Titan was based on Germany, but very interesting.
Tribes of mammoth hunters and musicians? Yes, the oldest musical instruments in the world are from Germany. Flutes carved from ivory and swan bones, found in Baden-Württemberg. What did they play? Rock music. Skipping through the centuries, we spy the influence of Indo-European arrivals as various cultures of craftsmen, farmers, shepherds, and warriors appear. The Germanic people seem to have originated as such in Scandinavia, and in the wake of the Nordic...
Weren't they called barbarians back in the day or something, or do I have that wrong?
Bronze Age migrated south, and sooner or later ended up running into the Romans, who thought the Germans nothing but primitive savages, but they did fear them. While generals like Julius Caesar and Germanicus slaughtered their fair share of Odin worshippers, one of Rome's biggest military catastrophes occurred in AD 9, when the Germans under Arminius...
89, oh my gosh. Arminius what?
Decimated 3 Roman legions in the Battle of Teutoburg Forest.
Yeah, the Teutoburg Forest. So I did hear about this. I definitely did hear about this because we've reacted to this before. Not this video, but this particular battle. I think wasn't this a part of the Teutonic Knights or something like that? I mean, like I said, guys, if I'm talking out of my ass, let me know in the comments down below, but I'm pretty sure this is the whole Teutonic Knights battle.
And from that point, Rome's expansion beyond the Rhine was pretty much halted, and they never conquered all Germania. So years passed, and as Rome slowly weakened, and as the Huns stormed in from the east, Germanic tribes like the Goths began overrunning the
Goths?
empire, and it fell at last in 476. The tumultuous...
That was a real German tribe? The Goths? I guess I did react to a video that talked about that too, but I don't know why I thought it was like a nickname. That's really a German thing. Goth? Really?
The time of migration, invasion, and city sacking steadily subsided, and some semblance of order returned to Western Europe with the rise of the Franks. The Franks were a cluster of Germanic clans whose power ballooned upon being united by Clovis around the year 500, and his espousal of Catholic Christianity foreshadowed the gradual...
And Clovis kind of buffed though, man. Look at his legs and his arms. Good, googly and boogly.
...acceptance of that faith by all the Germanic peoples. Frankish might attained its peak with Charlemagne, whose dominions covered much of modern-day Germany. The empire of Charlemagne was split among his grandsons, with the German bit going to Louis the German. I mean, who else?
Louis the German. Oh my God. What a name, man.
It was from this slice that the Holy Roman Empire was born in earnest in 962, with Otto the Great, who stopped Hungarian invaders and married his way into Italy and was crowned emperor by the Pope. The reason this inflated German state was called the Holy Roman Empire was because it was deemed defender of Italy and the Roman Catholic Church.
I guess this makes it a lot easier to understand, because the Holy Roman Empire, I'm like, what the hell? Like, why do they call it the Holy Roman Empire? But it quite literally defends Italy, like this was saying, and the Holy Roman Church, so it makes sense.
And this Holy Roman Empire would exist for many centuries, but not...
Is it Rome? Like, what Rome was? It's currently Italy, from what I've been told. what Rome was is currently Italy and maybe a few other places. But if I'm wrong, once again, let me know in the comments down below. I love to learn, so let me know.
Unified singular entity, but rather as an intricate complex of states, principalities, dukedoms, counties, bishoprics, margraviates, lordships, and estates. And yes, there were power struggles and quarrels. The empire was strengthened and further enriched under Friedrich I, whom the Italians called Barbarossa, meaning
Barbarossa,
Redbeard, but the Germans called him Rotbart, meaning Redbeard.
Yeah.
The Germans were pushing east across the river Elbe to the lands inhabited by pagan Slavs called the Wends. German settlers moved in, and the Slavic culture there slowly disintegrated. German dominance of commerce in the Baltic came about with the Hanseatic League, a confederation of northern cities with mutual mercantile mindsets, such as Lübeck and Hamburg. With
Lübeck. Oh my gosh.
increasing wealth came culture, as it typically does, and you had Minnesingers like Walter von der Vogelweide singing love
Walter von der Vogelweide. Walter von der Vogelweide. That's a mouthful right there. Oh my gosh.
songs, and the epic poem, the Nibelungenlied, about the dragon-slaying hero Siegfried and his formidable wife Kriemhild. Now to the east,
oh my
this
gosh,
here dwelt a pagan populace called the Old Prussians, and the emperor gave the go-ahead to conquer it. A task undertaken in the Prussian Crusade, led by the German Teutonic Knights, who gobbled up Prussian lands. Okay,
so the Battle of Teutberg, maybe that wasn't a Teutonic Knight thing. Maybe it was. I think it was. I honestly think it was. But this is just led by the Teutonic Knights. So it doesn't necessarily mean that the Battle of Teutberg was not also Teutonic Knight involvement. You know what I mean? Like I don't know. Like if you can give me some background on that would be quite nice. But this right here, the Grand Duchy of Lithuania. Ooh, interesting. This is a lot to ingest in so far 3 minutes, but it's very, very, very digestible stuff.
And then went further, ultimately carving out a big Baltic bit of territory, and thus making a German state outside of Germany, Prussia, which became rich and strong.
Holy shit, look at that castle, bro. Hold on.
Germany, Prussia, which became rich.
Good, googly moogly. Oh, this quite literally is the biggest castle in Germany right now, isn't it? Or this is technically in Poland now, I think.
The 1300s was a bitter time of famine and Black Death, but amid the recovery in the ensuing century, a number of world-altering things took place in German lands. Politically, there was the Austrian Habsburg family taking the wheel of the Holy Roman Empire in 1452, under which dynasty the empire grew immensely powerful. But before that, a goldsmith called Johannes Gutenberg invented a printing press that changed the world. Now books...
yeah. That was, of course, a German invention. And without that... it would have been a long time before we got to where we are now with the invention of printing, man. I think someone else would have invented it, but not this way. Probably in something entirely different. Maybe a much more inefficient system, because the printing press was very efficient, you know? I mean, that's how we have what we have now. But I always think, what would have happened if that never got invented? Like, would we still have some form of a print type thing? Because someone would have come up with that, I feel like, but not the printing press itself, but maybe something else, you know? I don't know.
Be produced faster and cheaper than ever before. Ideas could spread rapidly and to more people, and they did. In 1517, Pope Leo X needed money to fund his glorious rebuilding of St. Peter's Basilica and promoted a campaign of selling indulgences, basically telling people if they gave money, their loved ones would suffer less in purgatory and get to heaven quicker.
Oh my gosh.
Johann Tetzel was particularly zealous in his efforts.
You know what I think about all this? Because it seems very clear back in the day that religion and government were so closely tied together. I feel like the government used people's lack of knowledge of religion and the afterlife to really run their pockets. That's just exclusively my opinion, and it might not even be an accurate statement at all, but that's what I'm getting out of all of this. From various sides of history, I'm seeing that the government and the church were so tied together in so many different societies, and the government knew, and to this day still knows, that people's uncertainty about what happens after you die. You know, people are like, oh my gosh, like, what can I do to make sure that my eternal life after I'm gone is lavish? You know, they're like, oh, all you have to do is donate $300 a month to the church. Like, I'm like, bro, that's grimy, bro. Like, You don't need money in the afterlife, bro. What the
on
heck?
behalf of the Pope and attracted the attention of a hot-headed priest and professor of theology
Martin
at
Luther.
Wittenberg called Martin Luther.
Martin
was
Luther.
disgusted by the whole thing and publicly denounced it, and his arguments were mass-printed and spread, and his doctrinal disputes with Rome soon became political.
Ooh.
You see, many of the princes and so on in German lands did not like being limited by the church, and they saw in
True.
Luther's call for reformation a chance of getting more complete power in their regions and more money. The Emperor Charles V ruled a gigantic realm and did not relish the prospect of division, and Luther was summoned but refused to renounce his beliefs. And so we have the beginning of the split of the Western Church and the inception of Protestantism. Prussia became the first state to officially adopt Protestantism. And
Ever? Prussia was the very first Protestant state ever. Was it the very first Protestant state ever? Was it in Prussia? Man, a lot of things spawned from Germany that I had no idea spawned from Germany. And this is in Europe, so it makes a lot of sense. So a lot of the beliefs got spread worldwide from the whole conquering of different places by Europe. But good God, like, I guess it makes sense if that is the very first place in the entire planet that adopted Protestantism, but I don't know, for some reason it's low-key kind of hard for me to believe that was the very first place.
thus shuffle off the authority of the Pope. Other states followed, and the Holy Roman Empire was denominationally divided. There was unease on both sides for a long time, but after a Catholic started pushing Protestants about in Bohemia, the Protestants fought back and things escalated into what would become the 30 Years' War.
Jesus,
Religion
yeah.
started it, but politics kept it going. France
Jesus.
wanted to weaken Habsburg's strength, and thus supporting Protestant powers even though it was Catholic.
Oh my God, that's, see,
One of the
crazy.
most devastating wars in history, with millions of people killed.
Jesus.
While the Holy Roman Empire weakened, a new power arose in Prussia, which became a kingdom in
King Frederick the First.
1701 and grew stronger, as seen with Frederick the Great, who further reformed the state and army into Europe's most efficient, and went out and conquered Silesia from Austria, which led to war, and Prussia emerged triumphant. Frederick smashing the Austrians and French at Warsbach, despite being
Jesus.
heavily outnumbered. Prussia's ascent coincided with a time of immense German cultural accomplishment,
wow.
especially in music, and pretty much all the greatest composers are German. Bach, Handel, Beethoven.
You know, it's crazy. I completely, and I say this every single time this is brought up in any history video about Germany. I completely forgot that all of those artists were German. Bach, Beethoven, Schumann. Is it Schumann? Schumann? Whatever. Yeah, bro. I completely didn't even know that they were German. Like, prior to like watching the videos, and even though they might have mentioned where they were from briefly in school, it didn't sink in that they were German. I'm like, oh my gosh. Also, it is cold as hell in my house. It's like, how do I say it? 0 grad in my area. And I don't have the heat on because I like wearing sweaters and stuff, but my toes are cold. I don't know how this has anything to do with the video. I'm just letting you know. If you see me shivering a little bit, that's probably why.
Schumann, Brahms, Wagner, Strauss. For a long time, French culture had dominated Europe, but the Germans started searching deeper into their own souls to express themselves, and what they found were the seeds of the Romantic movement. Intense emotion, angst, storm, and stress. Europe was swept up in this artistic outburst, which was in large part a rage against encroaching modernity. But it was futile. The world was growing less romantic and more mechanical. Don't worry,
true.
the Germans would prove to be good at that too.
Oh,
Now, the
true.
Holy Roman Empire was dismantled in 1806 by Napoleon, and the following decades would see the Industrial Revolution hammer its way into the German lands. With the fast-altering world of factories and steam trains and muddled political, economic, societal shifting alongside continental famine, the German states were set ablaze in 1848 by revolution.
Oh, wow. I've used this in one of my thumbnails, actually. It's very crazy.
Seeking reform and the union of German states.
The
When
Deutsche
the rebellions
Revolution.
were crushed, many unhappy Germans migrated to the United States, and today,
Oh, squad?
over 40 million
So, percentage of Americans claiming German ancestry in 2018, 70% is up in this area. I'm surprised a lot of it's not in Texas. Over 70% though in these two areas. I'm not even sure what states these are, and I live here in America. Illinois, it's mainly southern Illinois, and then whatever state this is, probably Missouri next to it. Ohio? What the freak? Ohio's this way, isn't it? I don't know my own place, dog.
million Americans are of German descent. Meanwhile, Prussia was getting strong again and setting itself up as the state to take charge of the German world. Prussia's Otto von Bismarck determined to make this a reality. He was a clever, ambitious man who, through quick wars and shrewd diplomacy, bolstered
Wow.
Prussia's standing. And after defeating France in 1871, he succeeded in unifying the German states.
1871 is kind of close to where we are now, low key. You know, like 1871 is not that far from 1900, which is also not that far from the the 2000s. You know what I'm saying? Just less than like 150 years. You know what I mean? Like that's pretty intense, man.
And the German Empire was born. And for the first time, there was a single nation on the map that you could point to and say, that's Germany. Germany became, after the US, the world's foremost industrial power. But the Europe...
Yeah, I'm not sure. From what I heard, I think it is close to being the number one power now for the industrialism and stuff like that currently. Maybe America is on top, but I feel like America at this point has outsourced so many things that Germany quite literally might be the industrial capital of the world currently. I don't know.
The chessboard grew more tense, and as nations strengthened, they began to fear each other. Bismarck knew France wanted revenge and did not want them allying with Austria, while Russia was expanding in the east and Britannia ruled the waves. In 1882, Germany, Austria, and Italy entered into an alliance, promising to help each other if attacked. Kaiser Wilhelm II wanted Germany to be a colonial power and oversaw the snatching up of various bits of Africa. Germany also became the world's center of science. Breakthroughs in physics, chemistry, and biology coincided with the Germans inventing the automobile, motorbike, diesel engine, X-rays, and gummy bears.
X-rays? Oh yeah, that's one of the other inventions too. That's crazy. What the fuck? What?
Then, in 1914, the heir to the Austrian throne was shot dead by a Serb, setting off a diplomatic crisis, and it all spiraled into World War I. What? And while the Germans put up a very tough fight, beating Russia on the Eastern Front, the Western Front saw Germany up against France, Britain, Belgium, and later the United States, which proved too much. An armistice was signed, a socialist revolution forced the Kaiser to abdicate, and many Germans simply refused to believe they had lost.
Well... Whew, that was a interesting little time because World War II followed shortly afterward because of World War I. From what I understand, and since, having learned so much from not only these videos but school and whatnot, it seemed like Germany was so down bad from owing everybody all this money from the previous war that it was very easy to be persuaded into thinking that certain different demographics of people were the cause of the reason why they were so poor and whatnot. And then, a lot of things happened. Boom, World War II. Also a big L, but crazy.
They'd been betrayed. Government debt added to demanded reparations equaled economic crisis. Enter Adolf Hitler, an Austrian who had fought in the Great War. Hitler believed Germany had been stabbed in the back and blamed the communists and the Jews. Hitler quickly became the leader of the National Socialist German Workers' Party. His immense speaking skills employed in passionate speeches, winning him a popularity that surged after the Great Depression, when the fun and games of the Weimar era expired and hard times surfaced. Hitler became Chancellor in 1932, and after some murderous maneuverings managed to win himself dictatorial powers. Germany's economy improved, autobahns were built, and in 1938...
They were built while he was in power? What the hell?
Austria joined Germany, but Hitler wanted more land, and got it, and was in the process of getting more in Poland that World War II began, the biggest and most destructive in history. It was Germany, Italy, and Japan against the world, Germany proving especially strong with its frightfully effective Wehrmacht, occupying most of Europe. And in the midst of the war, the hated Jews were rounded up and put in camps, where many were executed or died of disease along with other undesirables, like Poles and Roma, in what is called the Holocaust. Millions of deaths and endless sorrow. But Hitler's doom was sealed when he made the same mistake Napoleon made. He invaded Russia. Furious lost battle.
Yo, man. Big mistake. I think, what was that called? The Eastern Front, dude. The Eastern Front was like one of the most nail-biting battles, I feel like, in World War II. I was like, holy shit. Russia, it looked at first like Russia was about to lose, and then Russia made the biggest turnaround ever. Like, I was like, wait, what? Like, when I was learning it, I'm like, Jesus Christ, like, this is crazy. Russia did not play any fucking games. Because also, it's a lot of what had to do with the Russians winning the Eastern Front battles and stuff like that had to do with their own weather. Like, they were used to their terrain, like the bitter cold winters and stuff like that and whatnot. That was something that I feel like a lot of the troops from Germany were not prepared for. And, of course, I think a lot of the troops got starved out, obviously slaughtered, and a bunch of other little things, but a lot of it had to do with like the climate, the terrain, and then like the tactics just didn't even work because so many people were tired, froze to death or whatever. Ridiculous, man.
like Stalingrad and Kursk, the unrelenting British and the arrival of the Americans meant the Third Reich was no more. The war saw Europe torn to pieces, and while the movies give the idea that it was a basic battle of good versus evil, it just wasn't that simple. There wasn't much heroism in what the Soviet soldiers did to women and girls in East Germany, and there wasn't much bravery in the British-American bombing of Dresden and its civilians. After the war, Germany ended up split in two, the East influenced by the Soviet Union and the West by the West, which under Konrad Adenauer lost no time in recovering and rebuilding and reflourishing. As communism declined, the Berlin Wall went down and Germany was united again and took up a leading role in the European Union, in policy and treaty and so on. Germany today is one of the top richest countries in the world, with a very high human development index rank, a very high standard of living, and a knack for technological and industrial innovation. Germany has given most plentifully in literature, science, philosophy, sport, and music. Not bad for a country whose fairy tales for children are more violent than most horror films.
Literally, I 1000% agree. I'm like, bro, these fairy tales or horror stories? Welcome to Germany.
So what awaits Germany in future days? Comment below. But for now, bye-bye!
Mr. History, man. Hey, go ahead and subscribe to this, man. Very, very, very well put together video. And I learned a lot in a short period of time. Oh my gosh, like it's crazy to think a country as small as Germany has contributed so much to the development of of society like today. Like there's been so many revolutionary changes in the world due to a lot of inventions that spawned from Germany. And it's crazy, and I think a lot of people don't even really think about that. There's a lot of different life-changing inventions that other countries have contributed as well, and I feel like without each individual country we would not be where we are right now currently. You need the help of all kinds of different people from all over the world to get any kind of significant progress, and I feel like that's where we are now. And I'm very excited to see where we're going to be in 10 years, just 10 years from now. I mean, every year there's always something revolutionary happening, but I feel like we're going to see a huge leap between now and 10 years, 2032. And I'm like, when I'm 26 now, I'll be 36 then. Oh my gosh. Crazy, man. I'm shivering thinking about that. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. Like, comment, subscribe, turn on those post notifications. I'll see you soon, real soon. Take care. Love you guys.